Hello, this is Mary with Mango Math, and I'm here with Millie to give a lesson tutorial out of our sports and math kit. Indy500 is based on the Indy500, which is a car race. So students will have friction cars, which means they are cars in which when you pull them back, they will have a spring that loads them up. And so when you let them go, they'll just go off in hopefully a straight line. So students can race two cars together or race individually. Make sure you leave enough space in between the cars so that they don't crash into each other. First, the students will need to make a mark on the ground. Where is your starting point? So everybody knows where the starting point is to measure from. There will be a student who is a timer, and so once the cars are pulled back, the student will set the timer and say go and start the time. Then the cars will go until they stop, and then the student will mark the spot in which the car stops. They will then use the measuring tape, and they'll decide beforehand if they want to use inches or centimeters, and they will measure from the starting point to where the car stopped. And once the stop time is given, you are measuring up to 100th of a second. So I'm going to remove these images here and go to this chart here. So in this chart, students are going to record the distance here's car 1 column and car 2 column. They're going to measure the distance the car 1 went, and they're going to write that distance down. Now, if they're using centimeters, we want to go to the nearest millimeter, if possible. If they're using inches, we want them to measure to the nearest fourth of an inch. So they will write that amount down. So let's say I'm just going to give a general amount and say that they went 38 inches with their car went 38 inches. And then they're going to record the time, and let's say that took 5 seconds. So they'll measure it, and let's say it's 5 seconds. So now they have to figure out the rate of speed. So they're going to take that 38 divided by 5, because the rate of speed is determined if you take distance equals rate times time. So in order to figure out this backwards, we're going to take the distance and divide it by the time, which is going to give us the rate. All right, so once they do that division, it came out to 7.6, and they'll compare that to the other car. Now we're going to, this first test, we're going to do it 3 trials, meaning we're going to do that same exact race 3 times so we get some data. And then we're going to come up with a mean. What is the average distance, average time, and average rate? So we want the average distance, the average time, and the average rate that the car travels. The next time we play this game, we might do something different, meaning we can change one of the testing features. So the first one, the type of test, would just be the normal one. So students on the next test can alter something in their test. So they can do something different with the car, they can do something different with the distance, and they can do something different with timing. They can alter it. So let's say they decided to, do 3 pullbacks of the car. Everybody does 3 pullbacks of the car and lets it go. That's something similar. We can write that down as a test of 3 pulls. As 3 pulls. Something similar that we did. We could also say we're going to measure until all cars stop. So let's say until 1 car stops. So once the first car, if it's traveling along and it stops, all cars have to take it from that time. That's something you could do to change it with everybody ending same stop. So let's say you marked a place on the floor and they're all to get there, or once the first car stops, you can stop there. It's however you want to change the race. And that's what the trials are. You're going to do 3 tests within that trial, and you're going to figure out the average or the mean of each one of these to get the average rate. So this has different steps on it. Kids can be creative with it, gathering different types of data, but ultimately they're just racing their little pullback cars or their little friction cars.